I'm Bill Brown from East Hartford, and I appreciate certainly the forums that you have, John. I think it's really great how you open this up. But I do want to just mention a couple of things that I'm very disturbed with, is that you would open that much time with a vile comedian on that program. I found that rather disturbing. And secondly, this term of invest, I know some of you found it humorous, and a little humor is fine, but to play that much from that fellow was, I thought distasteful. But secondly, another thing I find distasteful about this government, where you're talking about investment, we're investing. What we're ending up in is debt. There's huge mountains of debt in this country. We're borrowing, we're taxing, and we're calling that investment. In my understanding, investment is what you've earned, what you've saved, and what you decide to put your own money to. This is borrowing money from international bankers, from the Chinese, whoever they are. Our whole country is becoming a mountain of debt. And I think it's a false view of salvation. It's government salvation. This country was built on people being responsible for themselves, having faith in God, having family ties. But to turn to the government constantly in this state of debt is a huge spiritual crisis in this country. We have to return to what America is about. And I just want to say the third thing that disturbs me is that I don't have health care, but I'm not looking for the government to provide it, and I don't want to be fined for it, that I don't have it. I think that's grossly unconstitutional. America is about freedom and responsibility, and that's what this foundation, the foundation of this country is about. And yes, it is true, people can have a good debate about health care and government's interest in these things. But we need to return to responsibility and fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
So, let me just say thank you for your time, Phil. I would say this. Number one, the plans that you turn to, under Obamacare are private sector.
If I don't want it, I still don't have to be fined.
Well, if people didn't want automobile insurance, they could drive without insurance, but it's the liability that they place on every other citizen in the country. And so, in a country, it's not as though you get to place, even though you may not want to do something, hold at risk everybody else. Who knows what kind of disease you might contract? Who knows what kind of contagious epidemic could occur? We don't. That's why, as a country, we protect ourselves so that whether it be from disease, which is why we have a Center for Disease Control, or people who, listen, when someone's young, do they feel that they're ever going to get ill? If there's ever going to be a problem? And if I had to make a decision between, geez, should I put the money down and spend it here, or would I like to go on vacation?
So you agree that I should be fined?
There's a societal obligation here that we have to the country. No, what I believe is that you have a responsibility to society. I believe you have a responsibility to purchase insurance for yourself and for your family, which, as you indicated before, is the individual, God-fearing thing to do on behalf of not only you and your family, but everybody else who could be impacted by your lack thereof. And that's a point that has to be made. And then who pays for all the people that decide that they shouldn't, and that they're going to use the emergency room that everybody else has paid for, that everybody else has contributed to?
Well, they're forced to.
They're forced to because they don't have insurance. And so if they don't have insurance and something happens, someone's not going to go to the emergency room? I find that hard to believe.